What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video. I hope that each and every one of you guys had a magnificent weekend. Now, in today's video, we're going to be covering both integrated and independent writing prompts, so please take out your notebook or a piece of paper, have your writing utensil in hand, and get ready to take some awesome notes. Now, copy the note-taking diagram, which is in red marker. I put a underline under R because we're going to be looking at the reading passage together and taking notes first before moving on to the lecture, obviously. So now let's go to my laptop and take a look at the passage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the reading passage. Now, the introduction paragraph should be read from the bottom up, okay? So let's look at the last sentence. Buzzing has generated a lot of controversy and many critics would like to see it banned. So the reading's opinion is that buzzing is terrible. So the lecture's opinion is that buzzing is good, and the topic is whether or not buzzing is beneficial. All right, so your introduction, the idea, the concept of your introduction paragraph should be completely organized by now. Let's look at the first body paragraph. First of all, the critics complain that consumers should know whether a person praising a product is being paid to praise the product. Knowing this makes a big difference. We expect the truth from people who we believe do not have any motive for misleading us. But with buzzing, what you hear is just paid advertising, which may well give a person incorrect information about the buzz product. All right, now, this is very important here, and so is this, okay? So what I'm going to do for this body paragraph is I'm going to ignore this part right here, okay? All right, so the reading's first reason and main point is that all consumers should know whether a person is being paid to promote a product, because most buzzers or buzzing makes it so that people provide consumers with incorrect information that probably exaggerates the quality of the product that they're trying to sell. Okay, so that's the reading's first reason and main point. Now let's look at the second body paragraph. Secondly, since buzzers pretend they are just private individuals, consumers listen to their endorsements less critically than they should. With advertisements in print or on TV, the consumer is on guard for questionable claims or empty descriptions such as new and improved. But when consumers do not know they are being lobbied, they may accept claims. All right, so I think this is pretty much all we need, which is the majority of the body paragraph, but here's how I'm going to paraphrase it. Buzzers pretend to be normal people, so buyers listen to their recommendations less critically. Consequently, people who listen to buzzers without any knowledge will accept their false claims, or will most likely accept their false claims. So that's not good, obviously. All right, now let's take a look at the last body. Last but not least, worst of all is the harmful effect that buzzing is likely to have on social relationships. Once we become aware that people we meet socially may be buzzers with a hidden agenda, we will become less trustful. All right, here it is. That's all we need. Okay, so the reading's last reason and main point is that buzzing destroys trust among people. That's kind of strong, but I'm paraphrasing right now. So buzzing destroys trust among people due to the fact that once consumers are aware of the fact that buzzers are deceiving them, they will become less trustful. All right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, the process of me reading the reading passage and paraphrasing my notes with just my, by speaking, it took a little bit more than 3 minutes, okay? Which means that if I were to do this on my own without explaining or reading sentences out loud to you, I would have definitely been able to take all of the notes that I just took in my mind within 3 minutes without any problem whatsoever. Now, please don't forget, the most ideal position to be in after you're done taking notes for the reading passage for 3 minutes is being able to write approximately 50% of your essay, all right? The integrated writing task is a puzzle with 2 pieces. It's a really simple puzzle. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's simple because it has 2 pieces, one for the reading's information and the other for the lecture's information, all right? Now, theoretically, if you did everything that I recommend you do, actually, there are some mistakes here. You should have taken notes efficiently and in complete sentences in your mind, okay? Not just random words. So once you do what I tell you to do, hopefully after the 3 minutes of reading time, you already know exactly the exact sentences that you're going to type for the reading passages information, okay? All right, now let's listen to the lecture. Okay, I already listened to the lecture and finished taking notes. So please pause the video and copy the note-taking diagram first before proceeding with what's to come. Now, I'm going to be pointing to the words that I took notes on while the lecture plays. So what you need to do is listen to the lecture really carefully and also look at the whiteboard really carefully, because you should be following along with the notes that I took and also realizing, noticing which parts of the lecture that I decided to omit. Understand? This process, if you do it sincerely, is going to really help you understand what details can be considered minor and unimportant details. All right? So please do that pretty seriously right now. Here's the lecture.
Listen to a lecture on the topic you just read about and complete the note diagram.
Nowadays, people are doing a lot of talking about buzzers. You know, those guys hired to tell you some product is great. There's a lot of negative reaction to them, and many people maintain buzzers only promote a product since they're getting financial compensation. In actuality, many buzzers like the products they're promoting, which makes them much more easily trustworthy than other forms of advertising. Companies don't just hire anyone to be a buzzer. They conduct tests to find people who genuinely like their products. The buzzers then spend time using the products to learn everything about them. Testing has shown people can often tell when another person is being deceitful, so companies want buzzers who really love the products they're trying to sell. For example, I once worked as a buzzer myself. I loved the product and tried to encourage others to buy it. There was nothing deceitful in that. Consumers often ask many questions about new products. They don't become less critical. Unless potential customers receive the answers they're looking for, they won't buy a product. This is how buzzers can be of valuable assistance. Buzzers have to learn all about a product to describe its features and benefits. Otherwise, they won't make any sales. So they can impart valuable information to the public. I completely disagree with the notion that buzzers affect society negatively. As a matter of fact, their influence is rather positive. For example, they help build trust in society by telling others about good, quality products. This word-of-mouth marketing then spreads widely, letting people learn about new products from their friends and family members. In fact, if buzzers weren't helpful and harmed societal relationships, companies wouldn't hire them in the first place. So they must be doing some good, right?
Now, I hope you guys were able to understand most of what the professor said and comprehend most of the words that I actually took notes on. I do understand if it's difficult for you to read what's on the board because these are my notes. These words are, I think, unique and special to me. Well, not special, but they're exclusive to me maybe because I've been using these abbreviations for so long that they come out naturally from my hands and I'm able to recognize what they are without giving it much second thought. Anyways, let's look at the lecture's opinion. All right, now in the beginning of the lecture, the professor went on and on for maybe even more than 10 seconds about the readings information, right? You guys should have just sat down and chilled out when that happened because it's unnecessary. We need to just catch the professor's opinion in the introduction of the lecture, okay? So when all of that unnecessary readings information, readings opinion was repeated to us, when that was done, the professor said this: many buyers actually like the products they are promoting, which means that they are more trustworthy than other forms of advertisements, all right? So that's the lecture's opinion. Now, the professor's first argument is that companies don't just hire anyone to become buzzers because they actually conduct a myriad of tests to find people who sincerely like the products that they are going to sell in the future. Then these hand-picked individuals spend a lot of time to learn everything about the products that they need to sell because companies do not want to hire people who are going to be deemed deceitful by the public. And that's because most people, interestingly enough, can tell when someone is lying to them. For example, the professor herself worked as a buzzer before and really loved the product that she was promoting and encouraged all of her friends and family members to use it. And she thinks that this wasn't deceitful at all. All right, now the second argument is that consumers do not become less critical because of buzzers. This is mainly due to the fact that unless potential buyers receive the answers they want, they will not buy a commodity. As a result, this is when buzzers can be a valuable assistance, since they will be able to impart valuable information to the public. Why? Because they spent a lot of time learning everything about the products that they need to sell. All right, now the third argument is that buzzers do not affect society negatively. Now, this last argument sounded really forced to me because it's just the opposite of what the reading passage said in the third body paragraph. Now, if something like that does happen, if you missed everything here, you're still going to be in pretty good shape, because it's just almost the exact opposite of what the reading passage said in the third body paragraph. So please, even if you missed or didn't understand some information, take some educated guesses, because sometimes the answer might be just as simple as this. All right, so buzzers do not affect society negatively because their influence can be positive. Buzzers have the ability to help build trust among individuals or among consumers by telling others about good products. Besides, if buzzers are doing more harm than good, companies would not have hired them in the first place, which means they must be doing something right. All right, that's pretty much all the information that I got from the lecture. Now I'm going to go to my laptop and type my integrated essay. Please keep in mind, my sentences, or the sentences that I got from the lecture, are not going to be just this. I'm going to add a lot of spice and zest into my essay by utilizing my writing skills. All right? It's always your responsibility to make it possible for yourselves to get as many bonus points as possible, because no one cares about your grade more than you do. So please, don't overextend yourself, but also don't hold yourself back. If you're able to write more information than you took notes on, go for it. And if you're able to, please focus on that word. If you are able to spice up your essay and make it seem more elaborate, more lavish, more fancy than it actually is, then go for it. All right, now let's go to my laptop and look at the finished project. All right, I just finished typing my sample essay, so let's take a look at it. The reading passage and lecture have conflicting opinions about whether or not a new advertising strategy called buzzing is beneficial. That's the topic. The article strongly postulates that this new tactic of promoting commodities should be abolished. Now, the underlined parts of the sample essay are going to be the reading passage's information, and the parts that are in bold sentences are going to be the lecture's information, okay? So I just finished reading the reading passage's opinion. On the other hand, the listening adamantly delineates that since most buzzers sincerely like the products they are being paid to sell, they are actually more trustworthy than other forms of advertisements. Now, for this lecture thesis statement, I didn't add due to several compelling reasons, because since most buzzers sincerely like blah, blah, blah is already a reason. So if you add due to several compelling reasons in this kind of sentence, it's going to seem redundant. So don't do that. All right, now let's look at my first body paragraph. First and foremost, according to the author of the excerpt, all consumers should have knowledge about whether an individual is being financially compensated for selling a product. Being financially compensated for means being paid to do something. After all, unknowing buyers are more likely to believe the incorrect information and paid advertising from buzzers. Sounds fair enough. Now, let's look at the lecture's first argument. It's much longer than the reading's information, right? This is what every body paragraph's ratio should be like. The listening's information should always be a little bit more bigger than the reading's information, than that of the reading's information. Nonetheless, the lecture offsets these points by declaring that companies don't just hire anyone to become buzzers. Most, if not all, businesses conduct a myriad of tests to find people who genuinely like their products. Then, these hand-picked buzzers spend a lot of time to learn the ins and outs of the commodities they're going to sell. The ins and outs of mean everything about. Because companies know that most consumers can tell when others are being deceitful. For example, the professor had worked as a buzzer in the past and really loved the product she had to sell. Hence, she encouraged others to use the item and thinks there was nothing deceitful about what she did. All right, I hope you guys are realizing the importance of transitional words like this. All right, you need to add those transitional phrases and words in between sentences if necessary, because if those are absent, your writing and even your speaking are both going to sound and look very blocky. They're going to sound really choppy, and it's going to seem like they have no flow. So please pay attention to these transitional words and phrases. All right, let's move on to the second body paragraph. On top of this, the professor in the listening further asserts that consumers don't become less critical because of buzzers. This is mainly due to the fact that unless potential buyers receive the answers they are looking for, they won't choose to buy a commodity. Subsequently, in such cases, buzzers can be of valuable assistance since they are capable of imparting tons of valuable information to the public, thanks to the training they undergo before becoming buzzers. All right, so that was the lecture's second argument. These claims refute the writer's implications of how buyers tend to listen to buzzers' claims with less objectivity as they don't know about their true identities and become more susceptible to suspicious and exaggerated claims. So the readings section is always pretty concise. All right, now let's take a look at the last body. The article lastly points out that buzzing has a harmful influence on social relationships since people will naturally lose trust in others once they find out that some individuals may actually be buzzers with hidden agendas. Okay, thank you, reading. Now, here's the lecture's last argument. The speaker in the lecture counters these indications by insisting that buzzers do not affect society in a negative way since their influence is rather positive. Buzzers, in actuality, have the capability to help build trust in society by telling others about good, quality products that are available on the market. Okay, so this is why proofreading is important, okay? This word-of-mouth marketing strategy spreads very quickly and enables the public to become more familiar with more commodities. Besides, if buzzers are really doing more harm than good, companies would not have hired them in the first place. All right. So guys, I finished typing my sample essay, and immediately when I did, I started recording this part of the video. So I decided to use this section, reading the essay out loud to you guys, as my proofreading process. And thankfully, I was able to notice that this S was missing here. So guys, when you're done typing your integrated or independent essay, you need to have at least 3 or 4 minutes left to proofread your essay, since small mistakes are going to be inevitable, especially if English is not your native tongue. Now, English is my mother tongue, it's my first language, but I made a silly mistake like that, right? And that's because, take a look. If this were a normal Microsoft Word program, this gibberish here would be underlined in red, would be underlined by a red squiggly line. But that's not happening here, right? There are no red, green, or blue squiggly lines in this document because I'm using a program that doesn't tell me if I make grammar or spelling mistakes. Now, that might sound kind of harsh, but it's very necessary. It's extremely important, guys, because in the real test, the program that you use to type your essays does not tell you if you make a silly mistake. Okay, so please make it so that you're practicing in almost the identical condition, in almost the identical situation as the real test, because if you give yourself a handicap while practicing, the real deal is going to seem much harder than it actually is. All right? Okay, now in the next clip, I'm going to be showing you guys a picture of my sample essay for the independent writing topic. So please take a good look at it, take notes, and leave your questions in the comment section below if you do have any.
If I could take you up in paradise, I suppose.
I'm going to be signing out now, so please hit the like button if you like these sample essays in this video. Subscribe if you're a first-time viewer, and as I've said before, please leave any and all questions in the comment section below. There are no bad questions. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be focusing on task 1 and task 2. So TOEFL speaking, TOEFL independent speaking. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.